Hey, guys.
Hello, Superintendent. Can you hear us okay?
Lord, yes.
Perfect.
I can't turn my video on.
Oh, here, let me fix that for you. We have not gone to Facebook yet, so.
Yay.
Oh,
Hi, Mary. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Hello, I can hear you. I was just trying to stay silent.
No, you're good. I hope you guys got some rest last night. Ooh,
Yeah, pretty good.
there you go.
Go with me and this camera. I don't know.
That looks great. Yeah,
Okay,
that's good. Once you back up, that's perfect. So,
back up. Then I can't. It's hard to take notes, but that's okay.
no. I mean, when you just settle back, you don't have to back
Yeah,
up
yeah,
anymore. Just,
yeah.
yep, no, yeah, be comfortable. You look great.
You're kind.
Pressing video views. Okay. All right, we have 3 minutes.
Is it possible to somehow let me know if there are board members on? Um,
Yeah, we won't know if on Facebook they
yeah.
can bounce in and out without us knowing. It says about 100
Well, I won't
people.
worry about it then. I just,
Yeah.
like I guess I know last time Miss Bolton was on, I like to acknowledge them, of course, and I don't know if
Yeah.
they ever want to say anything.
Yeah. If we
So,
see them comment for sure or like,
or,
yeah, we'll definitely let you know. Mary,
okay,
if you do see them on Facebook, just throw a quick in the quick chat and we'll make sure to acknowledge them and I'll let Shauna know that they're on. So
Got you. Alrighty.
anyway, 2 minutes. So let's see what it looks like. No, I don't really like it. All right. I think I'm gonna use a second computer in the future. Okay. All right. Are you ready
ready?
to kick this off? All right. We are going to go to Facebook.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Open Office District Growth with our Superintendent, Shauna Murphy. We're so glad everyone could join us today. The goal of this conversation is to give you an opportunity to chat with our superintendent and ask questions about phase 2 of the growth plan. So how to do that? There's a couple ways. You can join us via Zoom if you want. We will put that in the Facebook chat here in just a moment, and you can interact directly with the superintendent. Or you can put your questions or comments in the comment section under this live video, and we will start asking the superintendent questions and sharing your questions with her, and we will kick off this live open office, exactly what it sounds like. Superintendent, take it away. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everybody, for being willing to join us and your interest in Cincinnati Public Schools and our students, our 35,000 students. We are definitely so excited to talk with you about our growth plan, to answer whatever questions you have, and to hear your suggestions and recommendations. This has been shared with our Board of Education during their retreat a few weeks ago, and then again publicly over the last couple of weeks. This last board meeting past Monday, the board had asked us to consider some things, and we did, and we came back with our best thinking. And we are still working on this plan, and so it's not anything that has been decided on or set in stone at this point. We'll back up and remind everyone we started this past spring and summer with phase 1 of our growth plan, which included several of our schools, including Riverview East Academy, Mount Washington, the Spencer Center, Odell Owens Center for Learning, and our Promise Center. And this year, phase 2 takes a look at not only our capacities in our building and our utilization, but also programming, grade bands. It takes a look at what we're calling the corridor model to build out our schools. This year, we opened our first middle school, the Schroeder Middle School, with 7th and 8th graders. And the proposal calls for the upcoming school year to include more middle schools and junior highs. So I'll pause there and see from Rob if there are any questions or comments in the chat at this point.
Yeah, so Superintendent, I think we're going to start with Mary has been kind enough over the week to collect some questions that have been going around on social media. So while we wait for people to populate, we figured we'd start with those. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
So you kind of covered the first part. What is the purpose of phase 2? You covered that a little bit just a moment ago. Why is the district looking at these options now? Why now? What's driving the
Absolutely.
decision making?
That's a great question, the why, and making sure that everybody understands why we are doing this. So really the work for me began back in May, late spring, where we came into the role and there was a pretty significant budget gap for Cincinnati Public Schools. Day one, it was about $26 million left to close a gap. And then within the following week, we got up to about $32 million. And that caused me to begin to look at some of the work that what is known as the ad hoc committee, a subcommittee of our Board of Education, had done over about an 18-month period of time. In March, the recommendations and suggestions from ad hoc were supported and approved by the board. I could tell that there were some things in that plan that could make a significant impact on our school district. And so I began that work right away, again, phase 1. Phase 2 is a continuation of that work, again, looking at our under-enrolled schools. And it has nothing to do at all with all of the wonderful things that go on in the schools, the amazing teachers and principals, staff members who are there. This is really about being more efficient with taxpayer dollars so that we can move forward with our school district and continue to grow.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Superintendent. We greatly appreciate it. What is the corridor model? That seems to be floating around social media a little bit. Maybe you can
Oh,
help.
right. Okay, wonderful. So the corridor model looks at our landscape in our district, and we basically are dividing the district up into an east side of town, a central side of town, and a west side. And the thought is to have children go to school within those corridors of the school district. In order to do that, we also had to take a look at programming that we offer our students. So if there is a program that is, say, housed on the west side of town, what would be the programming comparable to it on the east side of town? I'll take a popular program like International Baccalaureate Program. At the present time, we had that at Dater High School on the west side of town. And so our team is taking a look at what do we need to do in order to provide that high quality programming on the east side of town. So there you have the corridor model, again, where children will go to school within their corridor of the city, their portion of the city, whether it is east, west, or central.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. We're going to take a pause here for just a second and talk a little bit about what this format is. This is Open Office, District Growth with Superintendent Murphy. We're so glad she could join us today, but it's exactly what it sounds like. It's open office hours, the ability for you to just conversate and ask questions. We do have someone who has raised their hand in Zoom, so we're going to bring them over in just a moment. We did share the Zoom link in the Facebook live chat. So if people would like to join us and come and have an actual conversation with you, they're welcome to do so as well, or they can leave their questions in the comments and we're going to share those with you as well. So as more people join the Facebook Live, we're going to keep reminding you of how this process is working. And now, Superintendent, if you're okay with it, we're going to go ahead and bring Allison Goodman over to dialogue with you directly. So let me send her an invite to be a panelist.
Awesome.
And we just ask that if we do come on camera, that please remember to be respectful of each other and, be polite as we explore this wonderful progress to district growth. Allison, welcome. You can unmute your camera and microphone, and we'd love to have the superintendent would love to have a conversation with you.
Hello there. Good afternoon.
Good
Thanks
day.
for
How are
having me
you?
on. I'm great, thanks. My question for you, Superintendent, is as somebody who has really read a lot and paid a lot of attention, what happens? What can we do to support you in this work? Is there anything that individual parents and parent leaders in the district can do that would be beneficial to you on this journey?
I definitely, Ms. Goodman, appreciate that question. And what I would say is just what you're doing right now. So coming on, joining us on this open office opportunity, asking questions, hearing the questions of others, and then going back to your campus, going back to your school site, and being able to share the responses according to what you have heard. Generally speaking, I believe that a lot of people may have the same or similar questions. So if you're able to wrap your mind around that and able to then go back to your schoolhouse, your neighborhood, and share, that would be extremely helpful.
Wonderful. I look forward to doing that.
I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Thank you for taking the time to be on the call today.
Certainly.
Perfect. Allison, any other questions you want to ask while you're here? It's a good opportunity.
I don't have any others right now.
Don't want to put you on the spot.
May
I know I
ask
have
you-
kids spread out in 3 CPS schools this year, and so the effects are a little different for each of them. I have a junior at School for Creative and Performing Arts, so I understand there's some conversation with start time changing there. She is a student who participates in a 9th bell class, and as you most likely are aware, the way the bells work out right now is that the high schoolers are there bells 1 through 8, and the elementary kids are there bells 2 through 9. And so she's able to take advantage of a 9th bell class that goes on the elementary schedule to get an extra arts class in her schedule. So I trust that things like that will work out, but I don't know if anything along those lines has been brought to your attention.
I appreciate that question. Having been a substitute teacher at SCPA and having been a secondary assistant principal at SCPA, I am both familiar with the 2 different start times and how that worked. He's so cute. As well as having a singular start time. So I understand the rationale for both, and I believe that although master scheduling can be very challenging at high schools, in particular, the School for Creative and Performing Arts or other schools that have what we call singular offerings, can be challenging, but we believe that we can work through those challenges.
Wonderful.
Yes,
Yeah, and if I'm not taking too much time, I then have a 7th grader who's at Walnut Hills High School. So made that 7th through 12th transition with some nerves, but has gone well. Enjoys some of the chaos that happens with riding the Metro bus and transitions in the hallway being free and lunch having more choice. So I recognize that the 7th through 12th model has advantages and disadvantages. I think there are kids who would be fine in both. And then I think there are some students that it's overwhelming for. So I can appreciate both of those. And then my youngest is a 2nd grader at Pleasant Ridge Montessori. So time will only tell where he will end up. And so I try to support that community as best I can. And we're hearing lots of questions. So I'm happy to give answers where I can and direct people to the recordings of these calls and the information that's on board docs. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you so much, and thank you for choosing Cincinnati Public Schools. We definitely need you, and we definitely appreciate you.
We are a proud CPS family.
Other questions that may be challenging that even if parents want to funnel them through you, maybe they don't want to ask directly for whatever reason. I want to know those as well.
I appreciate that. That actually gives me an idea for next Wednesday's PTO meeting. I think I'll do maybe a anonymous paper at tables and let them kind of turn those in and see if we can't get them answered, or like you said, maybe they're similar and we can kind of group them and address them. So that gives me a good idea for an action item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care.
Evening.
You too.
Thank you, Allison. And Allison, if you want to jump back in or not, we're not going to pull you out of the panelists. We'll just go ahead and mute your camera and microphone. And if you have another question, just pop back in. We'll invite you to come back. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Rob. Thank you.
Absolutely. Allison's been wonderful. We've seen her many times here at the district office. She definitely takes an active role in CPS. So thank you so much for that as well.
And Rob, I just want to say to anyone else who may be listening, watching, I do think that is a great idea, like at your schoolhouse, either with your instructional leadership team, with your local school decision-making committee, or if there's just a broad parent meeting, if people want to do anonymous questions written down, no names attached, I am happy to work to respond to the individual schools' specific questions and to receive commentary or other ideas and suggestions as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Superintendent. And I think the other thing to mention here too, Allison asked a great question about how she can help. I think it's also just making sure that misinformation isn't out there as well, right? Making sure that if people have questions to ask, that's what these sessions are for. It's for their opportunity to ask you directly how this is going to affect them. And keeping that in misinformation down definitely will keep some of the community panic down as well. So kudos for doing these. I think that's part of the point, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so just to remind everyone what we're doing, we have open office with the superintendent on the district growth plan. This is an opportunity for you can jump into Zoom. We'll invite you to come over and have a conversation. The link is in the Facebook comments. You can ask your question on Facebook comments and we'll share them with Superintendent Murphy. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an opportunity for you to just take a moment and just ask the questions you're interested in and have a moment with the superintendent. So thank you so much. I'm going to jump into another question we had. Can you explain what the RAP is?
Oh my goodness, yes. So where this idea came from, our Project Connect program is a program that supports our children and families experiencing homelessness. And so they provide supports so that barriers to education are removed. So whether it is a barrier around school supplies, around uniforms, around food, around housing, this group and others, they ensure that our young people have what they need to be successful academically. The idea is that we would expand these wraparound services, first starting with our children and families experiencing homelessness, but then expand it to other families who may not be homeless. However, they may have some challenges right now, kind of that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that we would be able to help our families first. So we are affectionately calling it the WRAP. Some additional services that we hope and plan to grow to include maybe some financial literacy opportunities, some parenting classes, partnerships with other agencies in the Cincinnati area who may want to be on site, boots on the ground with us. So starting with an expansion of our food pantries, our uniform closets, making sure families are connected to housing vouchers that could be available to them should they qualify, is what we want to do. We want to lift that up so that our children are safe, our children feel protected, and they feel like they're ready to come to school and receive the lesson for the day.
Thank you, Superintendent. We appreciate that. A question that did come up this week a couple times I noticed about the RAP specifically is last year we did struggle with budget and working through the budget and the RAP sounds to employees expensive. And how is the RAP and the budget going to work together?
Absolutely. So it's possible to expand for our children and families experiencing homelessness because in our budget, there are particular dollars that can only be utilized and spent that particular way. What we're talking about, for example, is maybe putting in an industrial size washer dryer where families can wash their clothes. You can imagine if you are living in a car, sleeping under a bridge, don't have the money to go to a laundromat. If we can provide that opportunity and that service, great. I think that there may be someone who would be willing to make a donation of an industrial size heavy duty washer and dryer so that we could do that. I believe that there may be businesses, partners who might be willing to donate soap powder, those types of things so that we can help our families. I believe that there may be people out there who are willing to donate a deep freezer so that we can have an expanded pantry. I believe that there are people who will continue to want to be able to donate uniform clothing for other children who it may be a little bit more challenging for. Shoes, socks, book bags, school supplies. We generally receive partners who want to share, especially in August and the beginning of the year. But then again, what happens in January where you might want to refresh your book bag? And so we want to be able to provide those services again first. Our students and families experiencing homelessness, but we believe that our community is such a giving community that there will be others who will want to join us in this effort, and then we can expand those resources to other students and families.
And that's why we're calling it the wraparounds, right?
That's
The
right.
RAP, right?
That's right.
So one more question on the RAP. Why is this so relevant and so important right now? We talked about this in the last open, but there's a bigger need now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So why now? You might be surprised to know that we have about 2,000 of our children who are experiencing homelessness. That number has been increasing over the last several years. We believe it will continue to increase. It is really challenging to find affordable housing. Many of our families are one paycheck away from finding themselves homeless. Things happen in life, and what we want to do is be able to ensure that students will come to school. And so we want to remove any barriers to them being able to come. And I think that if the public knows that we have that number of Cincinnati children experiencing homelessness, that they'll be willing to raise their hand to help us out. And so it's definitely needed. I see it every day. And I believe that if we band together as a community, there's not a problem we can't solve, including this one.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. We greatly appreciate it. Real quick, I'm going to go back and remind you what we're doing. We have open office hours here with the superintendent about the district growth plan. This is your opportunity to exactly that. Just spend a moment with the superintendent and ask questions. You can do so either through Zoom, which we've shared the link in Facebook in the comments. You can raise your hand in Zoom. We'll bring you over. You can have a conversation one-on-one with the superintendent. You can put your comments on the Facebook, which we're starting to get questions, which is really exciting. And I'm going to start with that question. So feel free to participate. We're going to make sure your questions get over to the superintendent. I'm going to start with the second question first because it's relevant to what we were talking about. How and where can donations be made? And I'm going to pause. I think people forget that CPS does take donations, right? We've had people bring board games because of the new Yonder pouches to schools so kids can play board games instead of being on their phone. And they don't always think of us as a place where you can also help our students and give donations. So how and where can donations be made, Superintendent?
Yeah, deeply appreciate that. I am going to share the broad phone number, if that's okay. And that is, and we'll repeat it and we will share it multiple times during this call. But should you want to make a donation to Cincinnati Public Schools, of school supplies, of new uniforms, of laundry detergent that we will begin to collect. You would dial 513-363-0000. If you know someone who may be able to help us out with a new industrial size washer, dryer, deep freezer, please put them in contact with us. We are very much interested in hearing from them and talking with them if they are able to help us in that way. New shoes, new socks, new underwear for young people goes a very long way. So these are some of the things that we kind of take for granted, but they are very important for a young person to feel good and confident about coming to school and learning. And Rob, I definitely appreciate everyone's interest in the wrap. I do want to just take a moment, if I may, to share some other exciting programming that we're taking a look at. And I want to talk for a moment about Sailor Park School, and that is on the far southwest end of our footprint in the district, having 65 schools, serving 52 neighborhoods, plus Golf Manor, plus Amberley Village, plus Silverton, and plus Cheviot. But at Sailor Park, I just want to talk about for a moment because I'm very excited about this. One thing that is in the proposed plan is that we would take Sailor Park from a K-8 experience, a pre-K-8 experience, and begin over the next several years to add a grade level such that it becomes a pre-K-12 experience. So next year we would add grade 9, the following year grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. We believe that that would be something very special for that Sailor Park community, for them to be able to keep their families in that single school because it is such a concentrated neighborhood. Programming wise, we believe what will be attractive for that is consideration about adding a junior ROTC program, about adding a foundational career and technical education program, and adding a college program to the lens there. And we think that way that could hit any possible avenue that children would want to go into post graduation. So simply excited about the possibilities for Sailor Park and growing out our partnerships there.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. We greatly appreciate it. I'm going to jump into this next question for you. And this has been coming up not just here in the discussions and the last discussion and in between on social media and the CPS social media pages. I'm a parent of a sixth grader at a Montessori student. I've signed up to tour Clark, but I've heard Clark might not be an option for seventh graders. Can you elaborate on this?
Yes, I'm happy to elaborate. So Clark is currently a 7th through 12th grade building for Montessori students. And we have worked over the years to prioritize our current sixth graders being able to get a seat at Clark High School in order to continue their Montessori experience as a 7th through 12th grader. But what happens over the years is it's so popular and they do so well that we have run out of seats for our children. And so we have proposed that we can expand seats at grade 7 and 8 by shifting that population of students to a different building within our school district. That way, any student who has a sixth grade Montessori experience on the east side would be able to continue in their seventh grade experience on the east side and then matriculate up and through Clark as a Clark High School graduate. On the west side of town, we have Gamble Montessori High School. They also have a greater ask for seats than we currently have available. And so we're working really hard to figure out how we can meet the need and the demand for our sixth grade Montessori students on the west side, coming from Gamble Montessori Elementary, Dater Montessori Elementary, and Parker Woods Montessori Elementary schools, all of those feeding into Gamble Montessori High School so they too can continue that Montessori experience for themselves. So we're working really hard to the original question to make sure, and we have a proposal to make sure that any sixth grade student who wants to continue their education in Montessori will be able to do that.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Murphy. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Let's do a little quick reminder again as we get to the top of the hour. This is Open Office Hours District Growth with our Superintendent, Shauna Murphy. This is an opportunity for you to just engage with the superintendent and ask her about phase 2 of the growth plan, and just get some of your questions out. You can do it via Zoom, which is on the Facebook comments. In the comments, you can join us and have a one-on-one conversation. Allison did it earlier. It was wonderful to have her over and to see her. Or you can put your comments like some people are now or questions in the Facebook Live. And we'll happily share those with the superintendent. So either way you're comfortable is great. And we're going to keep going. We're actually going to start with a little bit of praise. How's that sound?
Okay.
We have loved the wrap proposals, one of the comments we're getting on Facebook. Thank you for the Yonder pouches. Student engagement is getting so much better. So a little celebration for the Yonder pouches.
Yes.
It was interesting yesterday. We were working at SCPA before the State of the Schools, and it was fun watching the kids kind of go by and swipe their pouch and pull their phone out for the first time at the end of the day. So that was pretty cool. CPS is doing great things for all kids. So thank you for that comment. And then lastly, love this for Sailor Park. So thank you for all the positive comments. We love to hear those too, not just the questions, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, a comment, Rob, if I may, about the Yonder pouches. So I
Mhm.
know that when we initially said that we were purchasing the Yonder pouches for our high school students, there were some who were extremely concerned. But we had the benefit of learning from Dr. Jennifer Williams, the principal at Hughes STEM High School. She actually began the previous school year with Yonder pouches. And I tell you, she said nothing but wonderful things about it. I also heard staff members say nothing but wonderful things about it. But what sold me, the students themselves said how much they appreciated the Yonder pouches. Like initially, yeah, no, we don't want this. But over time, they also could see the benefit of being able to focus in the classrooms themselves, to have fewer distractions, less drama, as the kids say. And so we thought, okay, let's see how we can expand this. And even initially, there were some principals, I don't know about this, but Dr. Williams was really good at being able to demonstrate how the Yonder pouches work. She shared with them some tricks to the trade that they learned about very early on. And then we created for each school an implementation plan so that we would know everyone is on board with this in terms of trying to move forward. The other thing that was so amazing about Yonder, guess what? They require implementation plans because they believe in their product and they want to ensure fidelity of usage of their product. And if it's not there, then they didn't even want to sell us the Yonder pouches. So we turned that around pretty quickly. Principals embraced it. We trained, we talked, we discussed nuances with the Yonder pouches. My understanding is there are students at Woodward Career Technical High School who are building more stands for unlocking the Yonder pouches at the end of the day. You can imagine being without that phone all day. They really can't wait to be able to tap and unlock their pouch. We have said all along that if there is any emergency, any need for a parent to get in touch with their child, if they call the schoolhouse, no questions asked, we will allow you to speak with your child. And we also have a plan for kids if there was any kind of medical emergency or need. Certainly, there was an exception given there. So far, so great. I have also, Rob, been in schools during the lunch hour, high schools during the lunch hour, no phones, no phones. Kids were having conversations, they were playing board games. It was extremely impressive. And at this point now, the adults have to remember to keep their cell phones tucked away as well. Thank you for that comment.
I definitely would find that interesting. Have a student walk up and give a teacher a hard time about having their phone out. I think that's fun. That's fantastic. Open office hours with Superintendent Murphy. We're so glad you're here. If you want to join us, if you want to ask questions on Facebook or through Zoom or raise your hand, you are more than welcome. We've hit the first half an hour. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Mary Williams, who behind the scenes is keeping everything organized and keeping us flowing. So we really deeply appreciate that. Our next question that's come through is about the lottery calendar. How will phase two, and actually let's pause before we say that. No decision has been made right now, right? We're still in the investigative and community conversation period. You want to talk a little about that first, Superintendent?
Happy to talk about that. So we only rolled out this to the board a few short weeks ago. And then that was on a Saturday during their retreat. And then that following Monday, the board talked among themselves and gave the administrative team and I's feedback and had further questions they wanted us to dig into and bring responses back. So this past Monday, we did just that. Took their suggestions, their thoughts, their questions, and dug a little bit deeper. One of the things is to have more engagement with the community. These open office hours are just that, just one way that we are talking to the community, providing the community an opportunity to ask their questions so that we can hear from them. They can give their feedback. They can receive any clarification that they may need so that we can consider it and then move forward with the plan. So no decision has been made. No vote has been taken. We are not moving forward at this point other than continuing to tweak the plan based on feedback that we are receiving from community such as yourselves.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. That's going to lead us into the next question we have. If phase two is decided,
Mhm.
how does it affect the lottery calendar, which is already in effect? We already have schools and people signing up for lotteries and moving forward because we know that schools will open again in August, right?
Exactly. Yes, that's a great question. So we had previously the Montessori Magnet Lottery. And then now we, I believe last Friday, launched the rest of the lottery. And so what we will do is hold on those placements, those assignments, and because we always review before we finalize, just to make sure there aren't any nuances. Sometimes we have double applications, sometimes triple applications. So we want to get those cleaned up before we are definitive in our responses. So we believe because the window is open for a good period of time, we have time to make internal adjustments as needed. So we knew going into this that there would be some nuances with the timing of the lottery. We didn't want to delay the lottery because we want to give families as much time to consider what they feel is best for their child.
Thank you so much, Superintendent.
We
All right.
will, along the
Mhm.
lottery lines, we will still have and wait till May for the open enrollment period. The open enrollment period means these are young people who live outside of the Cincinnati Public School District who may want a seat in one of our schools. We wait until all of our students, 35,000 students, are placed first, and then if there is space available, we consider those applications. Again, that is not until May.
Thank you so much. Our next question, I have two students in specialized classrooms. Where would they go if Woodward turns into a Montessori 7th and 8th? Can they stay with their teachers? Their teams. Woodward has such a great program.
Well, I'm certainly a fan of Woodward Career Technical High School. I am an honorary Bulldog and feel like I
I'm sorry,
somewhat
correction, Woodford. Sorry, Superintendent. Woodford. Sorry.
Woodford. Yes, so we are looking through keeping units together with the students, with the teacher, with the paraprofessional, I'm sorry. That is what we are looking deeply at. That is a priority for us for not just Woodford, but for any unit that may need to be shifted for the upcoming school year. The goal is to keep units together, units of students together with their teacher with their paraprofessional? Appreciate that question. I understand the sensitivity around that question.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. All right, we're going to just share again one more time as we continue rolling through this, how you can become a part of this process. If you've just joined us on Facebook, we have a couple wonderful people in Zoom. If you're on Zoom and you want to participate or come over, you can either chat your question on Zoom, you can click the hand icon, we can bring you over as a participant, and you can have a direct interaction with the superintendent. Or if you're on Facebook, you can just leave a comment in or your question in the comments, and we will ask the superintendent directly and have open office hours. So this is great that you're doing this, Superintendent. We greatly appreciate it. Let's see. Will phase 2 allow for more seats? And you kind of covered this a little bit. Will phase 2 allow for more seats for students already on the wait list for Clark Montessori? And how will that work? Do they need to re-enter the lottery? Will they automatically get a notification saying, "Hey, you now have a seat," if we do make these adjustments?
That is a fantastic question. So the goal is that every student on the east side, we'll talk about the east side and we'll talk about the west side, every sixth grade student at Sands, at North Avondale Montessori, and at Pleasant Ridge Montessori who would like to continue as a seventh grade Montessori student would receive a Montessori seat for the 2025-2026 school year if this proposal goes through. On the west side of town, every current sixth grade student at Parker Woods Montessori, at Gamble Montessori Elementary, and at Dater Montessori Elementary, if they're interested in continuing their Montessori experience at seventh grade, would have a seat at Gamble Montessori High School. There is a huge demand for the Montessori experience in our city, and we are working as hard as we can to be able to provide that opportunity for students who currently will not get in or may not get in because they are on a waiting list. We also want to try to alleviate that burden of concern as soon as possible, but there is a process, and so the proposal is there. We believe that we can make this happen for the 2025-2026 school year, but again, nothing has been approved at this point. We are still getting feedback, looking at possibilities, and delving into any comments the public has for us.
Thank you so much. Superintendent, can you talk a little bit about the changes to the Zoo Academy and our partnership with them and how that works?
The Zoo Academy is probably our oldest, so to speak, magnet school. So many people are attracted to the Zoo Academy. Zoo Academy, for those who don't know, young people actually go to school at the Cincinnati Zoo. Young people have the opportunity to work with the zookeepers, the administrative personnel while at the Cincinnati Zoo. We employ Cincinnati Public School teachers there, and they deliver the academic core content instruction. So their English classes, their math classes, social studies classes, science classes. Now, traditionally, what the school has been is primarily an arm of Hughes STEM High School. It's been that way since its inception. But what we have found is that there are students and families outside of Hughes STEM High School who are also interested in this Zoo Academy. And so what we have done is said, all right, we are going to open up the Zoo Academy so it is an experience for students who are interested across our school district. So if you're a high school student and you go to Withrow University High School, or you go to Western Hills University High School, but you're interested in going to the Zoo Academy, your junior year of school, your senior year of school, we have opened more seats to allow students to be able to attend there, not just from USTEM, but from across our school district. Very excited about that program.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. All right, here's our next question from Facebook. Why are you not utilizing the expertise of our special education teachers while you plan shifts for their entire student population? They know this population and their needs intimately. Stability is inaugural to their success, especially for the neurodivergent community. Plans should be set for them before any moves are confirmed.
I
You
appreciate
want to
that
comment?
comment. I appreciate that comment. Thank you very kindly. So we have been going out to schools we started our conversations with principals. And we got feedback from principals first. Then we went out and spoke to local school decision-making committees. Then we began these type of conversations. And we also have already scheduled, and this schedule is public, the engagement schedule is public, to attend community council meetings, to work with different community groups who are interested in speaking with us about this. And we work very closely with the Department of Student Services as we began to look at where we could place many of our classrooms, our units, our special education programs. So we didn't do this in isolation. We have had many conversations about this. And if you have specific suggestions, we're interested in your very specific suggestion as well. We are extremely open to this. This is, again, nothing that has been voted on, nothing that is definitive at this point. At this time, it is a suggestion, it is a proposal, it is a plan.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. All right, our next question or comment. The wait list will change once acceptance for Walnut and SCPA goes out. I think what they're meaning by wait list, I think they're meaning Clark, that it will change.
That's correct.
You want to talk just a little bit since we're and we do apologize, by the way, for your comments on Facebook. We do try to interpret them and sometimes it doesn't come through. So if we're not answering your question, please feel free to rephrase the question and we'll re-ask it. Can you talk a little about what Phase 2 has in store for SCPA in Walnut Hills?
For SCPA, we are proposing that there will be one start time. This will heavily impact what is happening with transportation for the School for Creative and Performing Arts. For Walnut Hills High School, they were pretty much in phase 1, so to speak, because theirs was completed at the start of the school year. So that was something that was in play before I came on board, but it was completed as I was coming into the seat. So for phase 2, there's nothing scheduled for Walnut. Walnuts was kind of pre-phase 1, so to speak. There was work done, and I'm saying pre-phase 1, with not only Walnut Hills High School, Hyde Park Elementary School, and Pleasant Ridge Montessori School. So they are not a part at this time of the phase 2 work.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. All right, our next question. Also, from the ad hoc meetings, Children's Hospital was told CPS that they need a school for children with autism. It sounds like this is a place at Woodford, but not marketed that way. Wouldn't it be better if you marketed Woodford as a special ed school?
Yeah, so this is the first I'm hearing about Woodford as a special ed school. That is currently not the plan. The current plan for Woodford is that we would have our 7th and 8th grade Montessori East Side students attend Woodford. In order to make room and increase capacity for young people to be able to have their seat in a Montessori setting and continue that Montessori education. So that is not the current plan for Woodford at this time.
And Superintendent, I think they're referring a little bit to Children's Hospital's report that autism units are increasing. More families are coming here to the city because of Children's Hospital. So we are seeing an increased population of autistic students. And the district is aware and they're working on plans as part of the phase for that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I will say, there are a couple of things I'll say about that. There was an idea about an autism center. I don't know if we will be able to complete that or not. Like, it is a part of the plan. It is interesting, and for me, that idea for me came from at one time there was the Kelly O'Leary Center. Some families may be very keenly aware of that. That is no longer in existence, but at the time, that was a place that supported families with children on the autism spectrum. That no longer exists, and I'm not sure why, quite frankly, but I know that there is a need for more services in that area. And so that is something in this plan that we are looking at. We have not been definitive about what we might do with that, but we do understand that there's a possibility for there to be a deeper plan for our children with autism.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. One last time, we're going to remind you this is the open office sessions with Superintendent Murphy. If you want to comment, we have about 15 minutes left. You can leave your questions in the Facebook chat. You can join us on Zoom. You can also come over and interact directly with the superintendent. Any one of those options are open to you. The superintendent's here, open office hours to answer your questions. Superintendent, can you talk a little bit about in phase 2 the career tech options and the expansions, Navy, ROTC? Talk a little about that growth that we're looking at in those programs.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. So we are planning around the career and technical education space to open a career and technical education center that would be open across our district for young people. So right now at Woodward Career Technical High School, we do offer health technologies. We offer advanced manufacturing technologies and building technologies or the construction trades. We offer a number of certifications in each of those areas as well. What we are looking to do is expand upon career and technical education in our districts by responding to the demands of the families. We have been asked over the years to consider cosmetology. Well, we are researching that. We have been asked about automotive, and people have talked for years about how automotive used to be a part of our vocational programming in our district. We are looking at the possibility of bringing back an automotive program. In Cincinnati Public Schools, we used to have a school, an entrepreneurship school. And so then that school turned into a program. And we're looking at bringing something like that back as well, housing it at Woodward Career Technical High School. And that too would be for anyone across our district who might be interested in the entrepreneurship landscape. So those things, though we don't see in phase 2, we see that being built out for phase 3. Remember this plan, 3 phases. The first phase implemented this school year with multiple schools, including Riverview East Academy, Mount Washington, Odell Owens Center for Learning, Spencer Center at the Promise Center, Schroeder High School, and our first junior high, 7th and 8th grade building, Schroeder Junior High. So that was phase 1. What we're really focused in and talking about now for phase 2 is our corridor model. We're talking about particular programming that's offered on the east side of town and then on the west side of town and vice versa. We're talking about programming such as the career and technical education programs for the phase 3. Thank you for asking about career and technical education programming. I do want to say a word about that. A lot of times I hear people say, oh, the district should bring back vocational programs. And when I was growing up, as we mentioned, vocational programs may have included things like home economics, financial literacy, sewing, cooking, but they're a little different now. And in fact, they're no longer referred to as vocational education. It's called career and technical education. So we do need to market what we are offering right now to young people and begin a campaign to let them know what we're looking at for the future. So I appreciate that question about career and technical education offerings and moving forward. I was also asked a question about military. Is that right, junior ROTC?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Oh, yes, I appreciate that. So last school year at Aiken High School, we started a junior ROTC program for the Army. And this year we expanded upon that. So they have a couple of instructors there with the junior ROTC program. They provide the uniforms, they provide the material, they provide the supplies for us to be able to offer this in our schools. What we are looking at doing is expanding upon junior ROTC, but we're looking at a different branch in the military for Sailor Park School at this time. And so we haven't quite landed on whether that will be a Navy program, whether that will be an Air Force program, a Coast Guard program, but we are speaking with military and landing, and we will land on what we feel is best based on the request of our parents in that school and the district decision moving forward. So very excited about what's happening at Aiken High School with the junior ROTC Armory and looking to expand to another school with some other branch of the military for junior ROTC.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. All right, well, clearly everyone's gotten off of work because we got some questions. So we are moving forward. So you ready? You ready for the buzz round?
Yes.
All right, we have about 10 minutes left. There you go. Quick drink of water. We're ready to move on. All right, here we go. First off, thank you for clarifying. This is a clarification of the waitlist question earlier. The waitlist for Clark High School is inflated because the lottery has moved up and the results have not come out. With additional Montessori schools opening, how will you find the staff to support Montessori?
What will happen if the plan is approved for 7th and 8th grade to be in a different building, the Woodford building, is that 7th and 8th grade team won't be at the Clark building in Hyde Park. They will move to the Kennedy Heights building. And so the staffing will be taken care of in that way. As far as the teaching of the content goes, things that have to be worked out are additional staffing support services, such as school psychologists, those kind of things. We are looking at our staffing internally here at the district level. I hope that clarifies the question and answers the question.
No, that was great. Thank you very much, Superintendent. How will we consider LRE, or least restrictive environment, principles if we have buildings with only special education? Will there be opportunities for autistic students to interact with their typical peers?
So when we talk, I appreciate that question. We definitely have to follow the law of the land around least restrictive environment for our students with disabilities. What we talked about doing if we were to open a center for autism is it would be by parent choice only. Some parents might find it beneficial to have resources for their students at a deeper level, and that might be attractive to them. Again, I mentioned a few moments ago, not quite settled deeply on that yet, because we do understand this could only be done if it were student or a parent choice. We will honor, respect, follow the law of the land around LRE, or least restrictive environment. This is nothing that we would force a family into as far as providing services for students experiencing autism.
And also, our special education superintendent, part of the reason we're looking at that in phase 2 is because of transportation, because we have students who are skipping 2 or 3 locations and going across town and trying to realign that, correct? To give them shorter,
Yes. Yes, I
locations.
appreciate that. Thank you for that comment, Rob. So what we've learned in phase 1 is that we have units all across the city. When we looked at Riverview East Academy, for example, and those classrooms and those specialized units, we learned that we had children coming all the way across town from Price Hill area, for example. And so we wondered, hey, is there something closer to their home that would be more convenient for families? And so we do believe that there are opportunities to do that. And so we are looking at how we can replace some of those units, and how we can revisit how we are assigning students to classrooms at the district level. We believe that we can do a better job.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. All right, our next question. A trade program would be wonderful. My daughter wants to go to Diamond Oaks because there's no option in CPS. So I think that's praise a little bit. So yeah.
So we are looking deeply. You would probably be very surprised by the number of offerings in career and technical education that we offer across the district. I think we have gotten pretty much to the point that there are very few things that we don't offer that something like the Oaks does offer. Some of those include cosmetology and automotive. So when we put those here in Cincinnati Public Schools, that will then create an opportunity for our students to be able to take advantage of, as opposed to leaving and having to go to the Oaks.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. All right, we're going to move right along. We have 5 minutes left. Have you considered paraprofessionals in technical schools? There is a great need for qualified paras. Also, they should absolutely get raises. They barely make enough to survive. Thank you so much for the comment. And Superintendent, you want to reflect on that?
They definitely do a lot. Our paraprofessionals are, I'm gonna say jack of all trades, always willing to step up, work hard, come to work every day, and they're definitely appreciated and needed. So the first part, the question was, have we considered paraprofessionals in the trades?
Yes, in the trade schools. So as they leave high school, they could instantly transfer over to being a paraprofessional in our schools.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. So thank you, Rob.
Mhm.
So our human resources department, they have done a great job in the recruiting end of things, including looking at our graduates who might be interested in employment with Cincinnati Public Schools. That just makes all the sense of the world to me. And so maybe that's something that we need to do better with or more with, or advertising the opportunities with. So we will gladly have a deeper conversation with our human resources department. Thank you for pointing that out. I'll make myself a note of that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that comment. It's great. And kudos to our paraprofessionals. They're wonderful. They don't want to move. They would stay in and teach 9 to 12. I'm not sure this is the comment, so we're just sharing them with you as they are. If that individual wants to clarify more, that's great. But that's the comment we have for the
Is
moment.
that for Clark, for example? I'm imagining.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be for Clark.
Let's
Yeah.
say it's for Clark. Let's say it's a Clark staff member or speaking for a staff member. So of course, that depends on the staffing needs of the school. I, at this point, am not able to say whether a 9 through 12 teacher is needed. So the way this works in our school district is working backwards. There is a time in our district, and it won't start until 2025, where we do what we call rounds, where there are vacancies posted that teachers from across the district could apply for that particular position. So let's say Clark had a position available at the high school level, then that teacher across the district would be able to apply. And of course, training qualifications, certifications are contingent, and that is kind of how those decisions are made in order to get an interview for that particular position. So that happens in early 2025. Moving backwards from that, we work on staff projections for each school for next school year, and we create, based off of the staffing formula, the staffing sheets for each individual school. Principals, instructional leadership teams take a look at that. They determine if there are going to be any vacancies. They then, as a team, create their interview teams and panels, and then we move from there. I am not able to say today where there may be vacancies in any of our buildings for next school year at this point.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So just to go back to the para comment for a moment, there's some clarification. They were talking about training paras while they're still in high school, so they're prepared to be a para once they leave and graduate.
Oh,
So thinking of it more as a trade school ideal, the concept they were sharing.
I'm
So
sorry. I totally misunderstood that. I'm writing it down. Train paras, train students to be paras.
it's an
Thank,
intriguing thought, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then we're going to go back. So just a note, we have 1 minute left. We're going to stop taking questions at this point. We still have about 5 questions, Superintendent. Do you want to keep going?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Okay, so but we will stop here for questions. We appreciate everyone participating, and we're going to keep going with the questions we still have. Even though we're continuing, if you think of questions, put them in the chat. We will still be addressing them. We are collecting questions on social media all the way up to the next open office, so we can continue asking. So join us for a future open office as well. And we're going to, in just a moment, put the open office schedule in the comments as well, so that way you know when the next one is. Is there a way that we can keep current 7th, 8th graders in Clark and move the incoming 7th graders to a new school?
So at the board meeting this past Monday, and I believe also the previous Monday, there was a suggestion that, the need is for a brand new school, 7 through 12. Right now, financially, we're not able to do that. Maybe down the road, a few years, that's possibility, but today we do not have the finances to be able to open a new Montessori school.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. We're going to keep on moving. Can we bring back yellow buses for the students that are being forced to a new school instead of them catching 3 or more buses?
So yellow buses, we moved in order to help us with balancing the budget and closing the gap. We did make the decision, the board did make the decision to put 7th and 8th graders who are attending a 7 through 12 building back on the metro as opposed to a yellow bus. So it depends on, we'll be entering a new budget cycle. The treasurer has segments called Just Ask Jen, where questions can be posed, suggestions can be made for the upcoming budget. Again, we're entering that budget cycle relatively soon. You've heard, if you're listening to the board meetings at all, commentary, presentations around what the budget will look like for the upcoming school year. So those are all suggestions that need to be considered. In the corridor model, as it relates to taking multiple buses to get to school, we believe that that will be able to um, expand the number of students who only need to have one route or transfer just one time. Now, if your child is transferring 3 times, I would like to know that. I would like to be able to delve into that. And so I want to try to figure out a way to get your information so that can be investigated. Chris Burkhardt, I believe, who is our Chief Operations Officer, did put in the chat that I can see all students can get to school with only two transfers. This is one transfer. I don't know if Mr. Burkhardt is able to unmute to provide further clarification or not, but if you are getting on 3 different buses, we definitely want to know that.
And the new phase 2 plan, as we look it out, is actually attempting to do even more of that, is get families closer to their buildings in the corridor model, correct?
That's correct.
That's one of the goals. So there should be less transfers in that process. We did invite Chris to come over. He's welcome to unmute if he's available. So
Yes, thank you, Rob. Thank you, Superintendent. Yes, all students should be able to get to their school with only one transfer. So if there's multiple transfers going on, we would like to know about that. We have confirmed with Metro. They have simulated all the routes to make sure that every student can get from home to school with only one transfer.
Metro has been an amazing partner over this school year, doing a lot of work with Mr. Burkhardt, with our transportation department, Mr. Demetrius Martin, who serves as our director. And every time we have come to the table with them, we've been able to have a meeting of the minds. They have gone out to schools to see the lay of the land when we have had a concern come up. They have taken our calls, agreed to meet with us consistently, deeply appreciated. It has been a very, for me, smooth partnership. And so any concerns about transportation, we do still have work to do. And we are willing and want to do that work for our families. We just may need to know about this one if you do have something going on with multiple transfers.
thank you so much, Superintendent. So we're talking about current. If you have an issue now, reach out. We'd absolutely like to know about it. And then, of course, we've had our comment from Chris about the phase 2 plan, if that's how it moves forward. We have 2 more. We have they would not be in a Montessori setting, and they don't want this for any children because it's not Montessori to separate the developing children. The 400 family and staff that have signed a petition agree. So I think this is a comment from Clark Montessori.
Okay. What's the question? That was comment.
No, I think just a comment. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's just a comment. And thank you for that comment. We appreciate it. And then our last question, Superintendent. Will my children who are in a specialized unit who go to Woodford now but live on the west side be displaced from their teachers?
The plan is to move units as a whole, students, with their teacher, with their paraprofessional. That is the plan.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. So Superintendent, that's our last question. We have in the comments on Facebook shared the future engagement sessions. So please join us again for the open office, for community conversations. There's many engagement sessions coming up. So please check that calendar and we'd love to have you join us again. Superintendent, thank you so much for giving the community time and space to be able to do this. Is there any leaving comments you want?
Rob, I want to say thank you for being an amazing host, trying to moderate and keep up with the Facebook feed and bringing people on to be able to speak. I do want to say thank you to the public for your time, being able to join us. We definitely thank you for your children and being able to work with you and with them. And I look forward to future conversations. Have a great evening.